In this video, I want to compare the Heybike ALPHA to the Aventon Aventure 2 e-bike. These are both solid choices when it comes to e-bikes, and I'm sure you'd be happy with either of them. But in this video, I do want to highlight the differences between these two products to what actually separates them in terms of performance and all their functions and features. And I'll put a link in the description below if you want to learn more about either of these products. So let's do it. Before I get into the differences, I do want to cover the similarities between these two products because there is quite a lot in common actually. First of all, they are both fat tire e-bikes. They have a 4-inch by 26-inch tire. They both come paired with fenders. They also have front suspension. So they're a relatively similar riding experience when it comes to the comfort of them. The Heybike seat might be a little bit squishier. I have a third-party seat on this Aventon right now because the original one was a little bit firm, so I actually think the Heybike is a little bit more comfortable when it comes to the seat. But other than that, they're very comparable. They also come with rear racks. The Heybike one seems slightly larger, and it also comes with a bungee strap included with it as well in case you're hauling stuff, which is kind of a nice touch. They also both have the option to either be a step-through frame or a step-over frame. I decided to get one of each, but I think I personally like step-through frames better. They're just a little bit easier to get on and off of. Both of these e-bikes come with hydraulic brakes, which I feel like is a must on an e-bike. It just helps you stop a lot safer. They also come with the 8-speed trigger shifter to make shifting through gears very easy as well. They also come with throttles, but the Aventon Aventure 2 comes with a thumb throttle, whereas the Heybike comes with a twist throttle, and I actually prefer a thumb throttle. They just feel easier to operate, and it's just a smoother experience in my opinion. But I do know some people prefer twist throttles, just not me personally. Both of these e-bikes also come with an app for you to track your rides or your mileage or change different settings on your bike, and they both have a really clean screen display. They are different than each other. They have a different layout, but they both look very nice and show all the same metrics. They also both come with a UL certified battery that is removable, so you can charge it inside the house. The Aventon is located on the side of the e-bike, whereas the Heybike is located underneath of it. I think the style looks a little bit better and cleaner underneath the e-bike, but the functionality of getting it in and out is a little bit simpler when it's on the side. That way you don't have to turn the wheel while you're getting your battery in and out. So that's a difference there, I guess. So that covers most of the similarities between these two products. So now let's get into the differences. Both of these e-bikes do come integrated with lights. They have front headlights and rear tail lights that also include blinkers. But the one advantage of the Heybike is it has blinkers on the front headlight as well, which I'm a huge fan of that. I wish more e-bike companies did that because when you're riding in traffic or in the city, it's nice to be able to signal to traffic in front of you which way you're turning. So I think that's a win for the Heybike. And also I feel like the headlight up front is a little bit larger and brighter than the one on the Aventon Aventure 2. Also, their logo lights up when you turn on the headlight, which I just think looks pretty cool, honestly. And I guess speaking of looks, I do prefer the look of the Aventon Aventure 2. I love the contours of the frame. It looks very nice and sharp and stylish, where this seems a little bit more simplistic of a design. It's just a rounded frame here and a rounded top tube, so nothing that stands out or too eye-catching. So I do actually prefer the look of the Aventon Aventure 2 better. Another small difference is the Heybike comes with a horn, whereas the Aventon doesn't have one. Now, one of the biggest differences between these two e-bikes is actually their riding performance and the way they operate. So the Aventon Aventure 2 has a 750 watt motor, whereas the Heybike ALPHA only has a 500 watt motor. But this motor is actually a mid-drive motor, so it feels very powerful. It feels more powerful than this one actually, which has more watts to it because this is just a hub drive motor. So when you're actually climbing up hills, it is probably 10 times easier on this mid-drive motor compared to the Aventure 2. This just is so easy to pedal and it gives you so much torque when you're actually pedaling. Having the motor be located right here by the pedals versus in the rear of the e-bike. So this is way more reserved and way more gradual of an e-bike, whereas this has way more torque and way more power when you're actually hill climbing, and also while you're trying to get up to their top speed. So they both max out at 28 miles an hour, but reaching that top speed is way easier on the Heybike just because of the motor, I think. With this one, you have to put a lot of effort in to get it up to 28 miles an hour. And then if you want to keep it there, you have to continually pedaling very hard. Whereas this one, it just feels easier to reach that top speed. Both of these e-bikes have torque sensors, so they adapt to how you're riding. If you pedal harder, your e-bike will go faster, and if you pedal softer, your e-bike will go slower. But I actually think I prefer the smoothness of the torque sensor with the Aventon Aventure 2. And mainly the biggest spot I noticed the difference is actually in the initial takeoff, because the acceleration is more gradual and more related to how I'm pedaling with this one. Compared to the Heybike, I feel like it has a more abrupt acceleration. So this one is a little bit more zippier in the upfront torque when it gets you going, versus this one is a more gradual feeling ride. So it's not that one is better than the other, they're just different in those terms. I feel like this one might make for a smoother, commuter-friendly e-bike, whereas this one is more powerful, might be better for off-roading, climbing hills, mountains. I feel like this one would win in that category, versus this one might win in the category of just taking it on leisurely rides. So that's kind of how I see the two of them. But once you get past that initial torquey takeoff with this one, it definitely smooths out and is a normal adapting riding torque sensor. So that still is a very nice ride. And then although this one is more gradual in the initial acceleration, it still has a lot of power to it because it is a 750 watt motor. So don't think that this is just lacking in power, but that's kind of my thoughts about them. Also, talking about their throttles again, with a mid-drive motor, this actually is recommended to start pedaling when you initially take off, versus the Aventon Aventure 2, from a dead standstill, you can just press the throttle to start going, which I prefer doing that when I'm taking off, especially on a fat tire e-bike. It just seems a little bit easier to hit the throttle to get momentum and then start pedaling, versus this one, it's actually recommended to start pedaling right away, and then once you have some speed, then you can start throttling. So that is a little bit different as well there. Difference of what? I ended that sentence very weird. The range of these two e-bikes is, I think, exactly the same. I think it's 60 miles on one charge, and they both get great range. I don't have a problem with that with either of these e-bikes. And the last difference between these two e-bikes is actually the price. At the time of this recording, the Heybike comes in at $1,600, whereas the Aventon comes in at $1,700. So it's actually $100 cheaper to go with this Alpha versus the Aventure 2, which is kind of crazy because usually mid-drive motors are more expensive. So I'm not actually sure how they made this more affordable than the Aventon Aventure 2. So that's another difference there. But overall, like I said at the start of this video, these are both solid products. They're both made very well, and I'm happy with both of these e-bikes. I feel like how you plan to use your e-bike will determine which one of these you should probably go with. I feel like I personally like this one better for hill climbing, for going faster, for off-roading and going up hills and trails. I feel like this would be better suited for those scenarios. But then if I want to go on leisurely rides, if I want to go commuting around my neighborhood, if I still want to go trail riding but more of a smoother setting, I would hop on the Aventon Aventure 2. So it kind of depends on how you're going to use these e-bikes. So hopefully this video just gave you a little bit better insight about these products. Again, I'll put a link to both of them in the description below, and thanks for watching. Have a nice day.